Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. It's me and only me, Demetra Kaye. I hope you guys are all having a great day. Donovan would usually be with us, but he's off in Arizona having a good time. He went to a concert and all that yesterday, and so he is still traveling back. So unfortunately, he won't be here with us today, but I'm here because I'm Demetra Kaye, right? I should be. It's my show. So, anyway, I'd like to say a big giant thank you and welcome to YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You all are not just viewers, but you are participants as well, because this is probably one of the only shows where we read each and every comment because we feel like you should be heard as well. I also like to say thank you to Marcus Guyton for doing everything he does on Facebook to help the show go further. And, as always, the purpose of the Demetra Kaye Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're already pretty dope and dynamic, but we can be better, right? And so today, the topic is, do y'all even care about, I think it said Black women or something like that, or about the Black women in Virginia. Of course, some of you guys probably know what happened there, but I'll get into it in just a little bit more detail. But I want to give everybody an opportunity to come on here before I delve into it. And before I do that, I want to see who's on here. Moni, what's going on? Anais, Honeydew, Dark Matter, Wilbur, Thunder, Tracy, Robin, Jonelle. Thank y'all for being here. Good evening to you. As you guys know, the time change, so I don't know if that kind of messed y'all up. I was up at 4:30 and I couldn't go back to sleep. And so as soon as the sun came up at about 6:30, hey Darren, how you doing? As soon as the sun came up at 6:30, I was like, let's go. Called my daughter in her in her room, said, let's go to the gym. So we're at the gym working out. And I love the time change because it's lighter earlier opposed to later. Like here in Texas, it's like 7:30 or so before the sun comes up, and I'm like, what a drag, right? So now it's coming up at 6:30, so I love it. Olivia, how you doing? And Sergeant Lauder, how are you doing? Slaughter, rather. I keep messing you up. And Ray Sean and Clifford, how you doing? So anyway, before I get started, I want to show you guys something that I think is just dope, right? Look at this picture here. So this picture here is that of my daughter and my niece. Now, my niece, Tay, she, watches the show sometimes, and my daughter, Deanna, which she's probably happy I didn't show her face because she's kind of a recluse. But as you guys see there, they are working on her car. Now, what happened was on Thursday night, we were going to go to the airport to pick my niece up, got in the car at about 12 o'clock or so at night, and it wouldn't start. It wouldn't. Matter of fact, we couldn't even get into the car because she has a hybrid, right? And so we're like, okay, just call her Uber or whatever. So the next morning, I called out my car. What is it? The AAA type of thing, and they came and jumped the battery. And so we went to AutoZone or wherever it was, bought a battery, but they were saying, oh, well, we can't really help you because of the way the car is set up. It's an electric car. And if you do this, you might have to rewire the whole car and this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, well, that sounds like a lot. So we're calling around Pep Boys and everywhere trying to get somebody here in Houston to help us. Nobody could do it. Pet Boys called back and says, well, I know we quoted you for $200 and something, $255 for the battery, which is expensive, right? But it's really going to be $550 for the battery and the labor. I said, hang up on those fools. So I called everybody and I say, hey, you know what? As long as we got YouTube, we can fix the car, right? So the next morning, my daughter went to try to put the battery in the car. And so I actually did get a hold of one guy, and he says, hey, it's just like changing a regular battery. So my daughter and my niece went out there because I was busy. And as you can see, they're changing the battery. Her car has two batteries. So this one is the auxiliary battery or whatever. So as you see, my niece, she's holding the phone, and my daughter's father is on the phone, FaceTiming, telling her what to do and do this, do that, do this. So needless to say, they ended up replacing the battery. It was no hiccups or nothing like that. They didn't have to rewire anything. So I just wanted to really pay homage to these two young ladies for taking the initiative to figure out how to do what Pet Boys was trying to charge us almost $600 to do. I also want to give a shout out to her father for walking her through that. Now he's in California, we're in Texas. Also want to say a big giant thank you to Terrence Wofford. He watches the show now. He was actually helping my brother at one of his rental properties. And I called my brother. I was like, oh my God, the battery. And so Terrence was there and he says, you know what, Miss D, that's what he calls me, Miss D. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to come over there. I'm going to help you. So he was going to drive an hour away from where he was, an hour from where he was to come help us. And matter of fact, he was on his way and I called and said, never mind. You know, they fixed it. They figured it out. And so I just wanted to say a big giant thank you, you know, to those men, her father and Terrence Wofford, if you're watching, for, you know, jumping in and saying, let me help these two young ladies. And of course, to these two young ladies for saying, hey, you know what? Just because we're women, that don't mean we can't figure it out, but saved us, I don't know, $300 something not to have to pay somebody to do it. So I just wanted to let them know publicly that I see them. So anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the show. And so who else came on here? Clifford, Sunlight, how you doing? And LLPRS, the Most High. I call you the Most High. How about that? How you doing? And Nichelle, long time no see. All right. So anyway, let's get to it. You guys may or may not know that on November 3rd, so I think it was a Wednesday, maybe it was, there was what they call a mass shooting in Norfolk, Virginia, in the young terrace apartments or area. So a 19-year-old by the name of, oh gosh, what's his name? Ziante Palmer ended up shooting 5 women. Now he was having a domestic dispute. Hey, Tisha, a domestic dispute with his 19-year-old pregnant girlfriend. And neighbors said as they saw her get out of the car, he shot her. And then at that same time, her mother and her mother's girlfriend were just getting off of work. And so they saw it go down and they were running to the rescue. And he, you know, shot and killed them as they were trying to help. And then a neighbor, a lady, Sarah was her name. So the mom's name was Nicole and her girlfriend's name was Dee. And a neighbor by the name of Sarah saw it. And so she ran across the street to try to render help. And she was shot and killed. And another lady who survived, so the 19-year-old survived, and the other lady who ran after all those people were shot to try to help, she was shot as well. And so Ziante was taken into custody, and he's being held on at least 3 second-degree murder charges, and then, you know, shooting the other 2. But I don't know if y'all heard about it. I heard about it, but I didn't hear about it like I would have if it was been someone else. Now, most of the women were Black. One of the women, I don't know what she was, if she was Arabic or Middle Eastern or whatever she was, but she lived in the neighborhood. Now, we didn't hear a lot about that at all. It was kind of like that day, maybe a little bit that the next day, but we didn't hear anything else about it. Now, we also know, hey, one who cares, if it would have been white women, Asian women, because you guys know that a bunch of Asian women were killed earlier this year at a nail salon. Had it been anybody else, we would have heard about it for weeks on end. But this kind of came and went, right? And so, that's why I said, do y'all, not specifically y'all, but I'm just saying in general, do we really even care about what happened to those Black women? And then, you know, kind of sort of Black women in general. I mean, and the other thing that I took from this story, and I don't know if there were any men around, so I'm not admonishing the men at all. So please don't take it that way. But how heroic that those women gave their lives to try to help, right? They didn't, you know, it sounds like it just happened really quick. And they didn't say, oh my God, I'm gonna run in the house. Oh, they ran even after seeing one woman, 2 women, another woman get shot. They just kept coming to try to help, right? And so to me, I mean, what a horrible way to go. But then the other side is that's like, where was everybody else? You know, this 19-year-old is just shooting people, right? And so I don't know if the Black media has covered it. I haven't really seen it. I'm on YouTube, I would say a fair amount of time, but I haven't really seen people talk about it. And I'm like, Well, those are our women. And yes, it was one of us that did the shooting, but those were our women who were gunned down in cold blood over, a domestic dispute, which was, a domestic violence dispute. But what's going on here to where we're just like, mm, you know, not a big deal. Now, of course, you guys know, unfortunately, there was 8 people in Houston killed at the Astro World concert where Travis Scott, I guess he hosts this concert every year. And one of the headlines that came out of that was Kylie Jenner is okay. As you know, Kylie Jenner, you may not know, I don't know, she has 2 kids or getting ready to have 2 kids with Travis Scott. And one of the headlines was, oh, Kylie Jenner was there, but she was unharmed. She's okay. And it's like, so out of all those people who were harmed, 8 people killed, I mean, like they had heart attacks because they were being smashed to the stage, right? Out of all that happened there and hundreds of other people who were injured, y'all made a headline that Kylie Jenner is okay. But yet in, Virginia have 5 women who were in, most of them Black, were gunned down in cold blood, and it just gets like a little blip on the radar everywhere. So y'all tell me what's really going on here, y'all. So I'm gonna get to y'all comments. I appreciate y'all for bearing with me here. So who else came on here and say, one who cares? She says, good evening, Demetra. And Donovan is not here. He is off kicking up his heels again. But he'll be back here on Tuesday. As you guys know, we moved our Thursday show to Tuesday. So he'll be back Tuesday, I think. And Honey, you said, that's beautiful, Demetra. Shout out to everyone on deck. Yes, indeed. It just really warmed my heart. And Thunder, you say an hour away and was coming to help. That's a good man. And I'm glad you acknowledge him. Believe it or not, something as small as acknowledgement that publicly goes a long way to rebuild Black man's image. Thank you. No, and that's exactly why I did it, because I don't think Black men really get the acknowledgement that y'all deserve. But 2 good Black men jumped in to help. And Terrence, shoot, he working. He is busy. An hour away, he was gonna come. He was like, don't worry, Miss D, don't pay them people all that money. I got you. Just as soon as I'm done over here, I'm gonna come over there. So, the big ups, And Russell, how you doing? He says, thank you for sharing. Oh, it's my pleasure. And Jonah says, heard about it via Instagram. So you're talking about what happened in Virginia. Yeah, but, where's the big media blitz, and all that about it, right? And Tisha says, I didn't hear anything about this at all. Yeah, it was considered a mass shooting because what is it? Is it 4 or 5 more people who were shot at one event? It's classified as a mass shooting. So it's a mass shooting of predominantly Black women. And the one lady named Sarah, who I think is Middle Eastern, she has 6 kids. They were, half Black, 6 kids taken away from, her children and the other women as well. But, and y'all haven't even heard about it. It's crazy. And Moni says, I like your cute ponytail, kind of puff in the front. It's cute as usual, you do something fun. I really like it when you wear your afro. Let's see, considering you got a soft texture, I hadn't heard anything. I thank you for that. Yeah, so as 2 people said you hadn't heard anything. And NIE says he was executing us. That's what it sounds like, right? He's just shooting wherever he can. And, unfortunately, it was Black women. And Ray Shine says, I don't know why these cowards is out here killing women. Go after the open enemy if you want to impress me. Right. He's 19, and I don't want to take away from what he did due to his age. But yeah, you're just sitting up there just shooting women left and right. I mean, from one end of the street, across the street and all over the place, right? And Olivia says, no, I didn't hear about this one. You says, one, I heard about the young guy that intentionally shot his mom at the bus stop. What was his excuse? So I haven't heard about that. But y'all, this was a mass shooting. Per American standards, this was a mass shooting. And y'all didn't hear about it. But how many of y'all heard about the Asian women that was gunned down in the nail salon or any other mass shooting, right? And Nichelle says, kudos to your daughter and granddaughter. Oh, I don't have no grandkids just yet, but that was my niece. My niece, but yes, indeed. And teacher said that story I did hear. Okay, cool. And Brisha, how you doing? He says, it's sad they were killed for trying to help a woman. Black women have to stop placing ourselves in danger. Call 911. Now that I do agree with, but I just think, especially for the mom and the mom's girlfriend, I think, they saw their daughter get shot. And so I think a motherly instinct kicked in or whatever. But yeah, and maybe the other mom who was shot, maybe her motherly instinct kicked in, just adrenaline probably was flowing. But I agree with you on that. Something like that. Yeah, call 911, duck for cover. But man, what a horrible story, right? And facts, not feelings. He says, peace and love, fam. I care about the black women in Virginia that cares about black men and don't use the white supremacist system against black men. And so, yeah, I guess, that's how you feel. But I just really believe that we as black people, black men and women, we got to stop all this divisiveness, right? We got to stop trying to find reasons to divide one another, because there's some black women that don't like black men and there's black men that don't like black women. But it's like, my God, at some point in time, we got to realize that all we have is us. We don't hear these things coming from other communities. Well, that white man, I ain't gonna mess with no white man no more. I ain't heard it. I'm not saying they don't do it. I haven't heard it. And you don't hear the Asians, you don't hear the Hispanics, you don't hear them going at each other, the man and the woman all the time. But we do that, right? Like, do y'all realize that time is going to be up for black people soon? And the last thing we need to do is be fighting against our black man and our black woman. We need each other like we need air, like seriously, right? But I understand how you feel, facts, not feelings. And Anaisa says they don't care about us. Yeah, one would be able to surmise that. Like, wow, do y'all even care about? And we know they don't care about black people. So I'm not trying to say, well, they care about black women. But these were black women that were mowed down, not like one day after the other, probably 1 second or two after the other, right? In the same event. And Moni says, Demetra, since the time of slavery, black women always had to step in when many times the men would not. Unfortunately, that's all too common in this country. I pray everything will be okay. Well, I think we got to tell the other side of the story, though, Moni. The black men, I don't think it was that they didn't want to step in. It's just that, they kind of had their hands tied, and sometimes literally had their hands tied, because I can't think of too many black men that will watch the horrors exact upon their woman, even in slavery, and not want to do something. And the other thing, I think we do a disservice to our ancestors is we don't tell the whole story about, there was some slave ancestors that did lose their lives behind trying to protect their women and their children and stuff. We just don't hear about those stories. And I'm not just talking about Nat Turner, but I'm talking about the slave man that didn't make the headlines per se, that lost his life behind trying to protect his woman. So that we got to tell the whole story. And Russ, you said, I love your hair. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Cortez, what's going on with you? He says, hey, Demetra, I haven't heard about the black women that got killed in Virginia. I'm not saying this is y'all fault. It's not, but it's a mass shooting of black women. And there's a couple people on here said they hadn't heard about it, right? And Olivia says, and they have a possible serial killer in Missouri killing black women. Now that I haven't heard about. So I'm going to get on top of that and cover that, because we need to know about these things, right? Thank you, Marcus. And if you guys are on Facebook watching this and you want me to read your comment, click on the link and come on over. I'd love to do that. And Mona says, I felt it was the place likewise, Demetra. Talk about Kylie Jenner as I can give less than a damn if she made it or not. Not that I'm wishing bad on her, but I really don't care about them at all. Yeah. And I don't want to say I don't care about them. I think we should care about people, but I don't care about her more than the people who lost their lives. But that's where the media was with it. Was People magazine. Oh, she's okay. In case you guys are wondering, Kylie Jenner is okay. And it's like, never mind the fact that her boyfriend, baby daddy, whoever he is to her, ignored a lot of the warnings where people were trying to tell him, hey, these people are dying, they're getting smashed. And he was basically like, I don't care about that. Let's keep going. So, it's a mess with the whole Astroworld thing. Tanaya, how you doing? And Most High, he says, moral of the story is mind your own business. See, I knew somebody was going to say that, because in retrospect, you're like, yeah, maybe I'm just gonna creep on in the house. But I'm gonna tell y'all right now, if somebody was harming my child or somebody I knew and loved, I wouldn't think twice about springing to action. I would go and try to help. I just think one of those, it's not, you don't think about, I'm going to lose my life in the process. You think about, well, let me go, help this person, especially your child, right? But I get what you're saying, because a lot of people do get harmed behind, trying to help. And then, like you said, yeah, if I would have just minded my business, I wouldn't be here. But, you just never know. Mona says, I'm glad you just mentioned that, Demetra, about Tuesday. I didn't know that you moved it to Tuesday from Thursday. I think you need to let people know a little bit more often, because we've been so used to your Thursday. Yeah, I made a post about it on YouTube, and I talked about it on Friday, and I'll talk about it, throughout here, so you guys will know that I'll be here on Tuesday at 5 o'clock, Donovan and I, instead of Thursday, because we want to kind of move it to the middle of the week instead of having it back to back. And Thundy says, there are still men out here that would intervene, but what Black women must do is, when a good man gets involved, she must back him up all the way and leave him hanging. I think you meant not leave him hanging and say, I didn't ask him to do that. No, I agree with you. We talk about this all the time. I think Black women need to let Black men lead, and sometimes it's going to call for us to button our mouth up a little bit and let him lead, right? So I agree with you on that. And H. McDaniels, how you doing? He says, are you asking where were the men when these women were shot? Yeah, I guess I'm curious, because, in all fairness, I don't know. Maybe there were no men around. I don't know. So I don't want to just kind of throw them under the bus, because it could be a fluke that no men were around. But if there were, how is it that 5 women were shot before? And I don't even know what happened, if they apprehended the guy there or he took off. Like, I don't know all of that. Or if, there was somebody who tackled him finally. I don't know. But I do know that 5 Black women, well, I think it was 4, and then one was, like I said, Middle Eastern. The women shot in the process. So, and teacher says that was pure instinct, either fight or flight. Yeah, I mean, how many of y'all will watch y'all child get gunned down and say, oh shit, let me go in the house, I hope she can crawl, and then duck and run from, you're not gonna think like that. And Monet, how you doing? You say, y'all, I haven't heard about this until now. So that's quite a few people who haven't heard about it in Easy. How you doing? He says, hello, D, looking great as always. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Sunlight, you say 100. And Mona says, I'm noticing that anytime things happen to us as Black women, a lot don't get spoken about. It when I see the show with Travis Scott, there was an Asian woman and male trying to stop the concert. Yeah, so there was they were trying to stop the cameraman or to have him alert, wherever he needed to alert that, hey, something is terribly wrong here. It doesn't even sound like the concert had got going good before this unfortunate incident happened. So there's a lot of things that are coming out of that. And Ray Sean, you say, you're absolutely right. We're the only group that goes against each other like this. Yeah, we need to stop that. And you guys, I would encourage y'all, and I know y'all pretty good about that, but when you're around people who are doing that, say, you know what? I understand how you feel, but at the end of the day, we need each other. We can't keep fighting like this, trying to find reasons not to get along and all that other stuff. Like we gonna need each other to make it. It's just really that plain and simple. And Brisha, you say exactly, Moni, especially since thousands of Black people go missing every year. Yeah, I mean, and we hardly hear about that at all. And Tisha says it's getting old now, but at odds with each other. Yeah, we just gotta stop it, right? And Thunder says the only way we can stop this is by not being afraid to use self-defense. And yes, that means using violence on violence people, and not just on ourselves, but anyone. Oh, I know that last part frightens. Well, I mean, to me, it's called self-defense. I think, if that's where you're getting at, right? Mona says, Demetra, what this says is, as Black women, we need to become licensed gun holders and get our CCWs within a reasonable amount of time, so it's no problem in protecting ourselves before the police. You know what? I totally agree with you. And I keep saying that I'm going to get me, a license to carry. And so I'm going to be working on that within the next week or so, because, you just never know, right? I mean, we see oftentimes women, especially maybe they live by themselves, dudes trying to get in their house. It was one video I saw of a sister. She was coming in from walking her dog, and she has a Ring camera, And, she runs to that, picks her dog up really quick and runs to the house. And she said she barely was able to lock the door before the dude comes up to her door. And she said she called the police. It took like 15 to 20 minutes for the police to come. But while she was waiting for them, he was trying to get in the house, and he had zip ties and some other stuff. So, like, what was you going to do with that? Was you going to kidnap me or something? So that's a scary situation. But I'm like, shit, if that sister had a gun, she could have really made some Swiss cheese. But we cowering in the house scared, and I'm not going to be doing all that. I'm sorry. But, I can't speak for anyone else. And Marcus, thank you for the link again. And let's see. Brisha, why are you making that face? And Moni says, can you imagine if somebody had been licensed CCW holder? I think it would have came out so much more better, different at the same time. It's an enormous amount of violence keep happening to Black women. And should also be said, too, in that particular neighborhood, I think it's called Terrace Young or something like that neighborhood. They said it's not the greatest place to live. In fact, Sarah, the third lady that was shot, she had just gotten approval to move somewhere else. She actually had just moved to the neighborhood, but she was about to move out because she was like, yeah, this is a little bit too dangerous for me. And unfortunately, she was proven right. And Miss Pollard, how you doing? He says, good evening, everyone. So sorry I didn't hear about this. Thank you so much for sharing this mass shooting on this channel. Yeah, see, most everybody said they didn't hear about it. And Brisha, you said every 6 hours. So every 6 hours is that a Black woman is harmed? Like, what is that about? Please tell me. And Yahweh, how you doing? He says, shalom, same to you. And one who cares, she says, the queen. Oh my gosh. I'm going to mess her name up, but I'll say Shakur. Said reported on it. So sad. Okay. So I don't follow her, but I'm glad that she did report on that. And Brother James, how you doing? He says, Virginia is a great example of Black people this week. Make a statement in the election. Don't take us for granted. Then 5 days later, he says, Chianti shot 5 women. 19, where is our knowledge of self and discipline, especially holding our young accountable? Yeah, and I want to get into that as well, because that young brother is, as far as I know, his name was Ziante. Ziante was 19. And so what will go through his head to where he's having an altercation with his 19-year-old pregnant. She was pregnant, our girlfriend, and he shoots her. Like, what's going through his mind, right? And Tisha says Virginia is a carry state. So does this mean we women need to take target practice? I go to the range and take knife throwing classes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's tough in these streets, and we need to do whatever we can to make sure that we survive, right? Like, we come out of this thing alive. Because, like I said, especially if you don't have a man around, I mean, what can you do? 911, they may come, they may not come, they may come eventually. But what are you going to be left with, And Renee, how you doing? He says, we need to also file a class action lawsuit against YouTube who stoke the Black gender wars. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. As far as there's a lot of channels who, I hate Black women, I hate Black men, and those channels flourish, right? Like, they got millions of subscribers and millions of views, but your Black channels that are trying to bring some, knowledge and good conversations, they get a blip on the radar, right? So I do understand what you're saying. And H. McDaniels, you say, if Black men would act like Black men and cared about their female counterparts, Black women would not feel the way we do. I would not run out there when someone is still shooting. We are not Superman. Yeah, I agree with you. But like I said, if it's your child, I would hope you wouldn't, say, well, God be with the Lord, please intercede. Because as my dad always says, prayer ain't worth a damn at the bear meeting. So you need to spring into action and do something. I'm not discounting prayer. Please don't mistake me in that. I pray all the time. But sorry if it seemed like I'm freezing up. I don't know what's going on. Maybe that's YouTube. But, we need to be able to take care of ourselves, I guess is what I'm saying. And if for whatever reason I go out or I freeze, I'm going to come back, you guys. So don't go anywhere. And again, you guys, if you are in Facebook and you're watching this, please click on the link. I love to read your comment. And Above Beyond the Forever, how you doing? It says, hello, Demetra. In all fairness, our women did say that they are strong, independent, and Don't need the black man. I'm just saying, well, I want to clarify something. All black women didn't say that. There are some black women who feel that way. And as y'all know, I just happen to be not be one of those women. Listen, I need a man. I would never go out and say I don't need a man. Now, can I do a lot of things by myself? Absolutely. I am capable, but Demetra Kaye needs a man. Okay. I just want to put that on the record. And there's a lot of women, black women, who need a man. Now, y'all don't get caught up on certain section of black women who I don't need a man. Now, man, don't let's focus on the black women who say they need a man. How about that? How you doing, leather and luxury cars? And Thunder says, with the way this country is getting polarized, if you can't see what's happening or about to happen, you're being willfully ignorant. We are all we got. They found another black man hung. We are all we got. Yes, see, there you go. And we didn't hear about that, but it happened nevertheless. But I like that. We are all we got, it, whether you like it or not. And Brother Jonell, he says, we advocate and train the sisters in self-defense. Every woman should know a little something in defense. Have an item, either brass knuckles or masses, to get an ill mind up off of them. Majority of these males can't handle rejection. And that's another thing. I'm glad a man said that. I'm glad a man said that. Do y'all know how many women and sisters especially are afraid to say, oh, no, thank you. I'm not interested. Y'all know how many black women especially are afraid to say that? If a man approaches her and want to get her number and she's not interested, y'all know how many black women have been beat and killed and verbally assaulted behind saying, I'm not interested. And so to your point, a lot of men, I don't say a lot, but there's some men that can't take rejection. Like, why do you, and I've had that happen to me before when I was younger. I was called all kind of B words because I was not interested. I'm like, damn, imagine if I said yes. What would life be like? And I wasn't even mean about it. I was just like, oh, no, thank you. But you got a good point. We need to have something, right? Have something to be able to mace, pepper spray. As my dad, he's a mechanic. He said, you better get you some, what did he call it? Carburetor spray. Get you some carburetor spray. Which I need to get. I told him I got it though. And Sunlight says, indeed, the agenda. And Moni says, elementary. I think he meant Demetra. I'm surprised I haven't heard nothing on CNN News Local in other channels, which is Channel 7 News at all. But my heart goes out to all the women. But I say it would be different if it was a CCW holder. So I think he meant conceal and carry weapon holders. Yeah, I mean, somebody had a weapon in that situation, they probably would have been able to do something, but you never know, right? And teacher says there should be a class action suit against the government. Yeah, there's been plenty of them. It's kind of hard to sue the government though. And above beyond and forever says, I agree, it wasn't all black women. Yeah, there's a lot of black women out there, but like, shoot, I need my black man. There just is. But unfortunately, and I can't remember who it was that said it, but this entity here that we're on, they promote a lot of that, anti-black man, anti-black woman. You see a lot of that, but you don't hear and see a lot of the channels that talk about black men and black women, getting together and building nations and, you don't hear about that kind of stuff. And Sunlight says, yes, let's focus. And Olivia says, thank you. We do need our men. See, we telling y'all black men, we need y'all. And Marty says, I like the you know what? He says, I like the backdrop. Can you tell us about it, Demetra? I love a lot of historical artifacts like that. I really do. We have to be concerned about black men and women, black women first, everybody else lasts forever. You know what? It's so funny, Moni. I've had this backdrop, and I know it's a little bit blurry because I blew it up, but I've had this backdrop for, 3 weeks or so now. And I was like, I'm not going to say what it is until somebody asks me what it is. And finally, somebody asked me, well, you guys have probably seen this before. It's actually Via Lararo, that of Madam C.J. Walker. That was her house, her big giant mansion that she brought. You guys know Madam C.J. Walker was the famous entrepreneur. And they said she was actually one of the first to pioneer multi-level marketing, where she had her hair products and stuff, and she employed a lot of Black women, brought them off of the washer lines and being domestic servants and stuff, and allowed them to make their own money by selling Black products. Well, that was her house, and that was a party that she had, and those are all the people that work for her standing on the stairs. And so I'm glad that you asked, but that's what that background is. And Tisha says, I was just talking about this. And Monet says, that's right. I need a man too. It gets old doing everything, being the woman, the mother, father, Mrs. Fix It, and so forth. It's exhausting. It really is. And, I feel sorry for any Black woman running around talking about, I don't need a man. Shit, it's like, is you crazy? It is exhausting having to do everything. And like, I didn't want to spend my day, calling all over trying to, find somebody to help fix my daughter's car. But, that's what I had to do. But like I said, thank God some great men sprung into action and helped. But man, I can't tell you. Like I said, Black women run around here talking about, I don't need a man. I want to know what's wrong with you. You need a man for something. And Thunder says, Miss Demetra, you live in Texas. You don't need a license to carry. Just carry. They made it like the old West again. Gun, knives, club, whatever you want, carry in Texas. Yeah. But, I want to do it the right way because, I ain't trying to be caught up on no nonsense. And plus, I really want to know how to shoot it. Now I know how to shoot one. My dad showed me years ago. I actually learned how to use his shotgun, right? Got kicked back a couple of times. But I want to learn how to do it the right way and just be in right standing. Because, as Black people in America, they say, oh, it's okay to carry without a license. But then when you carry without a license and then some nonsense happen, I'm too cute to go to jail. So that's how I'll just leave it at that. And H. McDaniel, she says, violence against Black women is not just from Black men. A lot are committed by Mzungu. Y'all know what Mzungu is. Y'all fill in the blanks. Mostly because they know that we mostly have no protection. Yeah, and we hear about it a lot when Black women are attacked, like in certain businesses and stuff. I always want to know, why do these business owners that are not Black feel so froggy and assaulting Black women? And I have to draw the conclusion that, well, they really feel nobody's going to come to their defense. We got our brother Tyrone's out there and stuff like that. And of course, a lot of you good Black brothers out there, but they automatically think that, who gonna check me? Ain't nobody coming here to, put hands on me for doing something to this sister. So you got a good point. And Sunlight says, yep. It says hashtag Chad Wheeler Crickets. Now, who is that? Is that the football player or somebody who did something to a sister? And Olivia says, I've experienced that mess too. Guy came up to me telling me how beautiful I am and asked for my number. When I told him that I wasn't interested, he cussed me out. I was like, really? Laugh out loud. Yeah. And I know a lot of sisters can tell that story. It's like, golly. And we're going to get into what we need to do as far as teaching our children, boys and girls, coping skills. And that rejection ain't really about you. That lady don't even know you. How could that really even be about you? And teacher says, that's here in Westchester. And again, I'm sorry, what is that? I'm sorry. And then Curtis, how you doing? He says, I have not heard about what happened to these ladies. I will check it out when I get home. Yes, as you should. And once again, our condolences to the loss of your wife. But yeah, a lot of people said they haven't heard about it. And H. McDonald says, if I haven't had a man in decades, I don't need a man. Okay. Says, I need food, water, and money. I'm not going to die because I don't have a man. I have toys and I'm okay and safer. Well, you know what? I can't tell you how to feel. Yeah, I'm sure you have your reasons. But like I said, when we say I don't need a man, there's things that we can do. But I need a man. I need a man to do certain things. And, I want a man. So there's that there, right? And Anais says, men are needed. Some women are psychotic. I'm going to leave it at that. And Facts Not Feeling says, most Black men do not verbally assault women after rejection. And yes, I didn't say most, some. I think I clarified that and said some, not all. So we're not going to deal in absolutes over here, but we're just pointing that out because, as I said, Brother Jonell brought it up. It wasn't me. And Moni And Jonelle is on Facebook. So again, YouTube and Facebook, y'all can't see each other's comments, but I can see them. And Marnie says, when I see that Asian woman trying to stop the Travis Scott Entertainment, the photographer that dealt with the lighting, tried to push her away, and she kept over insisting over and over again. Yes, and he was like, "Nah, the show is gonna go on. Forget what you talking about." So I think he's probably in a lot of trouble for just brushing her off. And Thundy says, and if you don't like guns, knives, clubs, get you a brown paper bag like the kind for lunch and a jar of Red Crown Lye and some water and throw it on your attacker like they did back in the day. Laugh out loud. Damn, you ain't playing. But yeah, I think the premise is get you some protection, right? You don't be out there, putting yourself in a situation. I want to say this too before I get to the rest of these comments, right? Black women, and I'm speaking to Black women, sometimes we could be a little bit on the hard head side. And I was just having this conversation with my daughter and my niece. I said, we need to learn how to listen to our men, right? I'm 50 years old. My dad tells me stuff all the time and I listen. And one of the things he's always taught me, and my dad is a Muslim, been that way since he's 19. He says, don't be outside at night. And especially don't be outside at night by yourself. So I'm saying, I'm not, you should be able to be outside butt naked if you want to. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is we got to use wisdom and act with caution because unfortunately, there are people out there who want to do you dirty. So let's try to minimize our risk by using wisdom, right? I rarely go out at night and it's rare. I can't remember the last time I went out at night by myself because I just don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm going to regret it, right? And Leonard, how you doing? He says, I think a lot of Black men have channels that complain about Black women and their attitude, but Black women got channels where they sound like white supremacists talking about Black men. Oh, yes. It's a plethora of channels out there of, women doing it to men and vice versa. And, but my thing is, why are we watching those channels? Especially if they're not trying to teach Black men and women how to build. We need to learn how to build with one another. We need each other. I don't even know how to keep saying that. Hey, Dennis, how you doing? And Tisha says, Madam CJ Walker's home. Yes, indeed. I was like, one day somebody's going to ask me what the background is. And Easy says, yes, D, I like the way you think. A lot of people getting caught up with that law not needing a permit. That's a trick they are using. And it's getting people caught up because some are ex-felons. Yeah, it's like, if you can, go get you a permit. Go to the gun range and learn how to use it, and how to store it and all that. Because, we do get sick and tired of hearing about little kids harming themselves because they found somebody's, firearm lying around and all of that. So there's levels to owning one. So we should do our best to try to make sure that we are in good standing, I would think. And Curtis says, I think a lot of the I don't need a man stuff is sour grapes. And it says so something. Yeah, a lot of it is sour grapes. I'll be disingenuous if I didn't say, especially a lot of Black women, we've been through a lot. And so I get why a lot of Black women say, I don't need a man, I'm good. I get it. I get all of that. So yeah, a lot of women are coming from a place of hurt, but at some point in time, we got to get to healing, right? Really work on ourselves and get to healing so that we can, be in a good relationship eventually. And Most High says, if you're running around trying to save everyone, the injustice system will turn on you for helping that person. Yeah, that could, there is no law against you being a good Samaritan. You could do that, but a lot of people won't because they're like, well, if I do try to help somebody and they get something happens, then I can, they can go after me. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. And Jonelle says those women was slain due to that weak-minded boy insecurities, primitive mind, and most of these males are too scared to get involved and don't have the proper view of women. How you shoot a woman carrying your child if you're not a child yourself? Yeah. Again, his girlfriend was carrying their child. Well, she survived, They said that she's released now from the hospital, but she's carrying their child. And you gonna shoot, you that mad with her that you're gonna shoot her and potentially harm your child? Like, what's really going on here? And one who cares, she said, exactly. And Thunder says, I'm just kidding. Don't do that with the lie. That might be just be illegal. Yeah, it might be. But if the situation calls for it, should you deal with the ramifications of the law later? And Easy says, Black women, you need to strap up legally. Yeah, carry your little pew pew, get you a piece. And NIA says, I don't go outside at night. It's just not wise to do that. And I saw a thread. It was a meme that says, women, if men didn't exist for 24 hours, what would you do? And do y'all know the responses that was on the thread of that meme was, I would go outside at night. I would go here. I would walk outside with my headphones on. I wouldn't be in fear. And it's so sad that women, it couldn't say, well, I don't know, do some cartwheels or whatever. But it was all attributed to men harming them. And Ryan Davis, who is one of my favorite comedians, he takes not necessarily Kevin Samuels to task, but the people who follow him. He says, he's telling men about, Black women and how Black women it is. He says, but Black women's problem is men. He said and he was saying to women, he says, women are often murdered by men and raped and this and that and this and that. So he's like, y'all, we need to tell the whole story. But how horrible that, women feel like, wow, if men didn't exist for 24 hours, I could be free, kind of, sort of, And Moni, you say, Demetra, they already saying that they want to do something with the infrastructure to make it more benefit come about in terms of the Biden administration. So I haven't been following all of that with Biden in the last couple of days. Y'all know I don't have TV anymore. So, and I don't really go on the internet as much. I try to stay away from it so I can be productive. But they're still trying to hash over the infrastructure bill. Biden got mad yesterday at a news conference because they asked him about the $450,000 to the 600 immigrants that were separated at the border. And he came unglued, so y'all have to check it out. And Dark Matter says, oh shit, some hater done flagged my comment. Looks like I'm shadow banned. I don't know if somebody did it, but sometimes if you mention certain words, YouTube will kind of like hide it from me. And then like if I'm watching the YouTube comments, which I'm not, I can go ahead and add it. So it might be something not necessarily bad that you said, but it got flagged. So Sunlight says, sigh, but Black men, but Black women, shaking my head, enough already. We need each other. End of story. Absolutely. Like, when can we just get that in our heads? We need each other, right? I saw a thread too. I can't remember what it was about. And the sister on there was like, well, that's why, and I'm paraphrasing, but that's why we need to start dating outside of Black men. I said, nah, negative. I'm not dating Brad and them and nobody else. I'm gonna stick with my Black man, if that's all right with you. So we need to be able to have those conversations with each other. Like, now stop all that nonsense. Because what you might have gone through with one Black man, that don't mean that's all Black men, And Thunder says, don't be outside butt naked and screaming. Don't look at me. Why are you looking at me? I should be able to walk around like this and not have you look at me. Well, I think it's unrealistic for a woman to be outside in that, situation and not be looked at. Hell, I would look like, what's going on, right? But it's a difference between looking and touching. You can look all you want to, but when you touch me, that's a whole different story. And I'm not even saying a person is all there for being outside like that, but that don't mean she should be accosted. And I know you're not saying that. Moni says, Demetra, they feel embarrassed because CNN is already saying that if they don't start offering more Black people a lot, they're not going to get in, I guess you meant for 2022. Now they're thinking about Georgia. Well, they better think about a whole lot of the stuff, because Black people are really starting to wake up when it comes to especially the donkey party, right? We're not going for the okie doke anymore. And Jonelle says the view of women in this world is devalued by men and women, especially Black women who call themselves bad bitches and reject a modest look or any inspiration to carry themselves modest in a world full of predators. That's just facts. The most women reject seeking salvation in revelation via temptation. And so you're absolutely right. We do have to have that conversation. Like, yes, women, especially Black women, are devalued, but sometimes some of us do the devaluation of ourselves by calling ourselves bad bees and hoes and all that other stuff. So we got to look at the part that we play in it. Like, you can't say, like, I know a lot of people feel a certain type of way about Megan Thee Stallion. I'm not trying to talk bad about her, but you can't use that of Malcolm X's recording. Oh, the Black woman is the most disrespected, unprotected, and then you run around butt naked talking about and I'ma suck and do all this other stuff. Like this is like apples and oranges. You know what I mean? Like, pick a side, sister. Either you gonna advocate for Black women being respected by acting respectable, or you not. Don't be lukewarm, right? Hey Jeffrey, how you doing? And Anais says the dude in Virginia was psychopathic. Okay, so he has some issues. But my thing is this too, and I really want to just pause right here for just a second. And it's for men and women, because men are domestically abused too. Okay, don't play with crazy. And I'm not being disrespectful to that brother situation, but if you know somebody ain't all there in their head, don't keep laying down with them. Go on and make you a nice little exit so you can survive to talk about it the next day. But if a person, as Maya Angelou said, person shows you who they are the first time, believe them. I don't think that was the first time the dude, was aggressive with her in Virginia. I think that was probably one of many times. And for him, that was the last straw. And so, we really need to stop playing around in situations that present themselves to be, deadly, right? And Olivia says the government has some of these young ladies believing they don't need our men. Yeah, it's a calculated thing. We know that. We know that Black women have been used, during the feminist movement, during the suffrage movement in the early 1900s, and even in the 1960s, our women were used. But as I always say, Black women were the only one that took it to heart. White women be out there, I'm burning my bra. I'm going to find myself. They do that from 9 to 5. And then they take themselves home and have Brad's casserole on the table and be ready to do all that other stuff. So they like, while he at work, I'm out here playing around like I don't need my man, but they go home to their men. Well, we're the only ones that, was like, well, I don't need my man. And look at the state of Black people. Right? They say a nation can rise no higher than this woman. And if the woman don't understand she need her man to help raise this nation, then we doomed, right? And then she says, you look very lovely today. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Thunder says, not having or needing a license in Texas to carry a gun and being convicted felon are two separate things. And in Texas, you can be a convicted felon and carry a gun, but it must be a black powder revolver. Okay, well, that's good to know. But how many people really gonna delve into all of that? Like, I can tell you one gun from another, to be honest with you. But I just think, and I get what you're saying. They're saying we could do it, but the problem is we always include ourselves in this we. Oh, they said we can do it. And then when us, get in trouble, it's like, well, you said we can do it. Well, he didn't mean y'all, we meant us, we. So I think we need to really be wise. Like with the insurrection, Brother Phil covered it. Was a black man. He got the longest sentence, and he wasn't even there. He was in his hotel, Facebooking or tweeting about it, and he got the longest sentence. So tell us about that we again. And Moni, you say, we not only need each other, but we're coming into a time of awareness, not because of a stupid election that really don't impact us unless we're in a particular state. But overall, let's be clear. I agree with you. And Tisha says, I saw that comment. So you did see the comment. And Leonard, you say, infrastructure is just gentrification, ethnic cleansing, American style. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. And Dark Matter says, don't worry about it, sis. I'm used to getting banned. Oh, you must be really wilding. And Jonelle says, man supposed to uphold women, revere women, love and respect women, but it's a woman's job to give men something to respect. Black women Self-degradation has to stop. And those like this boy who shot those women need to be made a shining example of, in the worst way, of why not to harm women, from whom our future and answers our prayers come. Absolutely. It's just a fact. Like, we need to be respected, but we got to be about the business of being respected. I'm sorry. Man gonna respect you and you talking up under your clothes all the time and how you gonna do this and that, and and you run around half dressed. Like, why would you? My grandmother, and I tell y'all this story all the time, told my auntie when she was young that if you use meat to catch a man, you're gonna wind up with a dog. She was saying that to her because she's like, you need to put some clothes on. Don't be talking about you need a good man, but you running around here attracting dogs. Don't act surprised, because a man worth his weight ain't running up to no woman with her behind all out and everything showing. I mean, to me, it's common sense, but you know what they say about common sense. And Cortez, he says, dating outside your race isn't going to stop an abuser. Other men of other races abuse their women as well. I mean, come on now. We know that. And hell, they abuse sisters too. How many times, especially lately, have we seen in the news, that Black women have been beat up and harmed even further by white men? So stop thinking, oh, Brad, I'm going to get me a Brad because a Brad going to treat me better than our Brad. All right, believe the hype if you want to. But see, the other thing too, and I'll concede this, a lot of times I hear y'all brothers when y'all say, but y'all don't do the stuff to Brad that y'all do to Jerome. Y'all gonna be like, yes, Brad. Okay, honey. But not all women. I'm saying some. But when Jerome tried to tell you something, you don't tell me what to do. You ain't my daddy. Now I sound like Donovan. Good morning, says, Demetra, that's one thing I will always love and adore about you, is the wonderful, calm way you express your love for the Black men. And be okay. I think you meant people 100. If it's someone that is melanated like me, cool. Yeah, I mean, who would I be to not love a Black man when one of the greatest men ever walking the earth to me is a Black man, my daddy? Like, how would I look not upholding Black men? That wouldn't look right. And I wasn't raised to see Black men or even Black women other than being, kings and queens and all of that. So I'm not going to disrespect my Black daddy and disrespect Black men. And my Kamala voice, no, are you kidding me? And Sunlight says, the woman is probably just reciprocating the behavior of a lot of Black men exhibit in today's environment. I don't advocate for interracial dating, no matter among either gender. Yeah, I mean, I want y'all to find me a white woman, Asian woman, Hispanic woman, or vice versa as far as men, that you've heard say to each other, don't date him. Go on and get you get you somebody else. Go on and get you a Black man. Don't date no Mexican man. I've never heard that. So we need to really stop, perpetuating that amongst ourselves. And you also say, don't lay down with crazy, and most definitely don't procreate with it. Clear my throat, PJ Washington. Yeah, it's like, this man is crazy or this woman, and yet you allow yourself to procreate with this person and then be talking about, oh, they crazy. I think you knew that. But all of a sudden you got caught up and you don't want to deal with it no more. But yeah, you got to think about that kind of stuff. And Gerard, how you doing? He says, I didn't hear about the Virginia shooting either. The media sees it as Black on Black crime, so they won't cover it like mass shootings, of course. And I'm glad that you said that, because that's exactly what it is. It's like, they're doing more of the things we want them to do, and that's get rid of each other. But we need to cover it, because I rarely expect the white media to talk about us, but I expect us to talk about us, right? And Thunder says, in Texas Penal Code 46.01, and a couple other numbers and letters behind that say black powder pistols are not considered firearms, and black powder pistols don't require a background check. I get all of that. But how many people, black people especially, are caught up in the system behind trying to use their laws? And no shade to anybody, but I know the Moors, a lot of times they try to evoke all these laws and the constitutions as to why, we're not really citizens and all this other stuff. And guess what happened to them? They go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So I think we always need to be cognizant, while those are the laws, are those the laws for us as black people? Those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. In fact, not feeling, she says, I have had black women cross the street to the other side when I'm in my work suit, and other women throwing smiles at me in my work suit. It's hilarious. Yeah, well, we I mean, I don't know what triggers other people or whatever, but we really need to stop doing that. We really need to we need to fix ourselves. And like I said, we and Joy DeGruy, Dr. Joy DeGruy, I should say, she says we're not well as black people, and we need to fix the things about us that are broken. And so that's one of those things, thinking that your black man is going to harm you. But again, maybe there is some PTSD there or some triggers. I don't know. But I wouldn't have crossed the street if I would have saw you in your suit. And Dark Matter says, when I was on Facebook, I discovered I had several people monitoring my page and speech. Not only are the algorithms keywords, actual intelligent agents work at these social media platforms say the wrong thing. Absolutely. And so that's why I always tell people, be careful what you say on here. It's not that I don't believe certain things. I just don't want to say it on here, because then it stops our conversation. And we need to have a conversation until we all get the gumption to go to some of these black websites. Like I said, Brother Phil has developed an app, the African Diaspora News Channel app. You can get it on various platforms. You can go over there and, and see the content raw and uncut, and we can say the things we want to say. But until we do that, we got to act accordingly on these platforms. And Dark Matter says they'll be at your door. Yes, indeed. And that has happened plenty of times to people. And Dark Matter says some years ago, there was a sister talking about putting pigs to sleep. They came for her, locked her up. YouTube is a spy network. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm like, use wisdom. I get it. We get all excited and riled up, and there's a lot to be mad about, especially as black people in America, but use wisdom. There's certain things you cannot do. Like, you can't go into a crowded, or people saying, oh, I have freedom of speech, until you go into a crowded movie theater and yell fire. That's not covered. So you got to use wisdom on the things that you can say and you cannot say, and you can't say those things on their platforms. You just can't do that. I don't know. And Easy says, D, some convicted felons done their time but have not restored their Second Amendment right, but think because it's 20 plus years later, their rights are automatically restored, which is false, which is why it would behoove people to get some knowledge of the law, at least on a basic level, right? Like a wise man once told me years ago, you can't break the rules if you don't know them. And there's a lot of people out there trying to break the rules that don't know the rules. You can't go in the court of law. They tell you go in the court of law. Ignorance is no excuse of the law. You can't go in there and say, well, I heard from my homeboy, Ray, that I could. No, but did you see that for yourself? Because what they say is not what you know, is what you can prove. Study for yourself so you can make sure that you're good, right? And Athandi says, we always find a way not to protect ourselves. If we get it, I'll get into trouble. But if a white supremacist wants to kill me and my family, how come nobody had a gun to protect us? Because they think like you do. No, I get it. I get it. And Clarissa, how you doing? He says, I lived in an area of self-respect, and men could take rejection. You mean they could or they couldn't? And Marty says, you already got Bill Gates is putting it out there that was in the next year better. They're going to bring smallpox back, so that letting you know they're trying to eliminate us pandemic or another. Well, I want to just go and say those are conspiracy theories, and I have to say that. But we know that eugenics is not new, but yet we participate in the eugenics by doing stuff to each other. So We need to really educate ourselves. And Renee says, yes, I'm a daddy's girl. I will always love black men. My son and my grandsons are good men too. Yeah. How you going to have a black daddy? Because we as black women do that to black men. Yo, mama black. How you ain't going to like black women and you got a black mama? Well, the same thing for black women. We got black daddies. How we running around here talking about black men ain't this and black men ain't that? I get it. We have bad experiences, but we can't attribute that to all black men, can we? And so, one who cares, she says, great live. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Leonard, he says, you're going to attract the dog with meat. Yeah. I mean, you going out there naked and wonder why a respectable man like, facts, not feelings with his suit on ain't coming up to you. You wonder why you got men coming up to you salivating. Then you got the nerve to be mad. I ain't no good men out there. Why don't you put some clothes on, sister? If you gonna put some clothes on to attract the type of man you want. Just like you go to a job, you ain't gonna go to a high corporate job with your booty cheeks hanging out and all of that, because you ain't gonna get the job. You gonna dress for the job. So dress for the man you want. It's that simple. And the same thing for men. And Jeffrey says, I just hate when our parents and people agree with us, including when we are in the wrong. Instead of guiding us and teaching us the correct, when we are at fault, they still agree with us and they know the truth. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are in love with their children and they won't steer them to correctness. They go along with any and everything they do. And eventually it comes out to harm a lot of people. So, sometimes you got to put a foot to your kid's backside, not necessarily physically, but mentally, like snatch your kids up and teach them the way to go. And Easy says, black powder guns not relevant in black community. Yeah, then when I hear black powder guns, I hear one of those, what is it, the bayonet type of jammies, and you stuffing the black coal down there. So I don't know if that's what it is, but that's what I envision. And Tisha says they sure do. They are abusers in all cultures. They vilify black women and men. I worked in criminal court. The others, quote unquote, are no better. They just don't get the spotlight. I had to leave criminal court. It's heinous. Yeah. And this sister right here was in the thick of it. And she's a firsthand witness, tell you it wasn't just us up in there, getting in trouble behind that. And it was everybody. So y'all don't believe the hype, because that's what they want us to believe. Like we all just out here animals, right? It's not true. Moni says, I never wanted a bread. I have had them. Oh, a brat, I think you meant. I never wanted a brat. I've had them and they are sexually very boring, can't get it up and not willing. I think you meant to go down. Oh my God. Which makes some boring. The race issue always comes up in the bedroom. Who's better in bed? Sister, I would never know. I couldn't tell you about that. And Dark Matter says, look up Tisha Essex. It's a sister that deal in self-defense, but unless you for real about holding court on the streets, think of before you act. Okay. Yeah, I am versed in self-defense. I learned it a long time ago, and I really feel like I could protect myself. But the way things are going now, I think I need a little bit extra protection. And Thunder says, if you defend yourself, you're wrong. And if you let them harm you, you're a fool either. The law is for everyone. It's for no one and needs to be done away with. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, brother. But the laws belong to them. And they were made against us. I mean, it's just the way it is, right? But it would behoove us to work on ourselves so we can be a little bit more independent of those things. Now, of course, you live in the United States. The law is supposed to apply to everyone. But if we practice separation a little bit more, building our own stuff, our schools, our hospitals, and jobs, businesses, all of that, then, we could be less affected by those things. What do you think? And Moni says, some of us are raised broken and made to be insecure. My grandmother taught an inferior disposition that later I grew to see was completely not accurate. And while I loved her, may she rest in peace. And so when you say she taught an inferior disposition, what exactly do you mean by that? And so I don't see any more comments, but I want to say this. Just with this situation, the kid being 19, because he's a kid to me. He'll be tried as a man, the one in Virginia. He's a kid. But we as parents need to start teaching coping skills. teaching our kids how to cope. And somebody made the comment about not being able to say no to our kids, and all that kind of stuff. We need to be able to say no, because saying yes to them all the time, how will they ever learn how to deal with rejection? How will they ever gain coping skills if all they hear is yes, oh yes, oh yes, you can have yes, 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 yes. And the minute somebody tells them no or whatever, they do something they're going to regret. And so we can fix that in rearing our children. But the other thing we need to do is stop allowing our children to see us in bad situations. Because a lot of us, and listen, when I say us, I'm being transparent. When I was growing up, with my daughter's father, we were young. I was 20. He was, well, we met when I was 19. He's a little older than me. We were kids. We didn't always get along. We had our issues, but that's something we grew out of. But we have to start allowing our children to see us in good, working, loving relationships where we communicate and not, do physical violence to each other and even verbal violence. We have to get together and figure out how to communicate, because while it's big in our community to say, don't do as I do as I say, that don't work. You can't tell kids to do as I say while you doing something the opposite. It doesn't work like that. Kids are sponges. And so if we teach our children to deal with conflict by yelling and screaming and be hitting each other, what you think they gonna do? They gonna get into a relationship and think that stuff is normal. So we have to check ourselves. Like, listen, I don't like how you talk to me and what you did to me, but we need to sit down and figure out how to get through this and teach our children that there's other ways to solve problems. Like, we need to learn about conflict resolution. We need to learn about the communication process. Like, there's levels to this. A lot of times we leave households that are not really good. We might have seen our parents go through some fisticuffs verbally and physically. And we get into relationships thinking, oh, well, that's the way to do things. But we aren't taught how to communicate, how to conflict, do conflict resolution and all of that. We're just taught to get out there and, go off. You ever know somebody who might have, it could be something small, and they just blow up like napalm, like, ah. You're like, well, gosh, what's wrong? Oh, something small happened. I spilled some water on my pants. And that's how you think you should deal with that? But again, those things aren't being taught. So we really got a lot of work to do in our community if we are going to make it. But a 19-year-old is going to jail probably for the rest of his life behind taking 3 lives and injuring 2 people, because I'm sure he didn't have the necessary skills to communicate. And Thunder, you say you can't say save me and say you're on your own if you do save me. What the hell? Well, I mean, I just know this. Brothers, if y'all see me out there in distress, I'm telling y'all right now, y'all can write it down. Y'all can whatever, use this live as proof. I want y'all to help me. It's not gonna come back to haunt you. I want you to help me. Please and thank you. And more, you say Instagram then started allowing Caucasians to use racial slurs about blacks, and when we respond in an intelligent demeanor, a message of calm, I think, and say this could be deemed as hate speech. Like, really? Well, yeah, again, it's their platforms. You can say the N-word all day on these platforms, but say something about somebody else and you're going to get blocked. So my thing is, why do it? We don't own these platforms. I don't even like to complain about it, because what can we really do about it? We can't do nothing about it. Get our own stuff up and running. But see, when we get our own platforms, I want to do well, how do I know? It ain't like this. Well, we got too many, like, roadblocks that we place in front of ourselves before we even go click on the doggone black website to see if it's something we want to do. We won't even fathom it. The Nation of Islam, they have a site. There's a lot of black sites out there, but we just won't get involved. So, I mean, whose fault is it really, you know? And Clarissa says, I meant that I was raised in an area when black men could take rejection, and we learned the word no, also to respect boundaries. Oh, yeah, you know, but it's bad, you know, because coping skills are not being taught. Coping skills are not being taught. And, you know, a young woman or anybody tells a man no, and it may cost her life. Like y'all saw the one in New York where the sister was coming out of the bodega, I guess it was. And while she was in there, some, you know, men approached her. I don't know, they wanted her number or something. And she said no. And they said she was nice about it. And they attacked her outside. One tried to bite her eye off because she told him no, thank you. Like what we like in a third world country where women aren't allowed to say no, thank you. You're gonna do that to me because I don't know you. I don't owe you that. And I think that's another thing people need to get in their heads. Nobody owes you anything. Even if you know them, they don't owe you anything. They're allowed to tell you no. Like, don't take it personally. That's why I was telling you about this book that I'm reading for the second time. It's probably kind of hard to see because of my green screen. But it's called The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements. I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to see because it's green. The Four Agreements. And in this particular book, he was talking about don't take stuff personally. And unfortunately, here we go, chapter 3. Don't take things personally. But unfortunately, we take things personally. Oh, she told me no. Oh, that means she really saying I'm not all of that. And she don't really like me. Or that lady don't know you. How you taking that personally? You know, lick your wounds and keep a step in. She don't owe you nothing. But we need to learn these things, right? People are allowed to tell you no. Period. And Sunlight says, agree 100%. Real men don't yell or go back and forth with females, and real women don't talk over their men. This must be taught by example. Yeah, but I'm telling you, that's the examples that we're given. You know, a woman may have grown up watching her mama, whoopty whoop, you don't tell me, man, you shut up, you ain't my dad, you don't tell me, and I whoop whoop whoop. And so, because you guys see videos of these little girls, the young sisters, how they talking to some of these brothers. It could be at school or whatever. Whoop, 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 and and then somehow we got it in our mind that it's cute to record our little girls. And it's like, she's 3. How's she gonna talk to her man when she get one? That's not cute at all. And Nichelle says, we are our own worst enemy at times. Yeah. And you know why we're our own worst enemies? It's because we don't know better and we don't want to know better. Or maybe we know better, but we don't want to learn better. Because unfortunately, people think that because I learned this particular thing, it's like saying I'm a mechanic, right? I'm going to school to be a mechanic and I learned how to fix, I don't know, a Mercedes. I'm good. I don't need to know how to fix no more other cars. I mean, unless you just going to learn how to do that. But I would think it would behoove you to learn how to at least fix some more stuff, right? But we think, okay, or let's say this. I learned how to fix a 1970 Mercedes. I don't need to learn how to fix no more Mercedes because I know how to fix that one. No, you need to learn how to fix the ones that's coming after it if you want to continue to work, because everybody ain't going to continue to drive no 1970s Mercedes. So it behooves us as humans to evolve, to learn and keep learning. That's why I read. I don't watch TV as much because I like to read, whether I'm reading something on my phone, whether I'm reading some of these books. I'm one of those people, I read books at a time. I told y'all about this one, The Community of Self, and it's green too, so I'm sorry. The Community of Self by Dr. Naeem Akbar. My dad gave this to me. I actually gave it to my daughter, and I've just been reading it. But I want to learn, and I'm sorry, y'all, I'm sweating. I want to learn how to be a better human. And in order for me to learn how to be a better human, I gotta put more things into my mind, right? I don't want to stay the same as I am now. I like myself, don't get me wrong, but I want to do better. I want to evolve so I can be a better person. And I'm a teacher, so I like to teach people stuff. I can't teach if I don't inculcate more knowledge, right? So, and Moni says, Demetra, let's be fair. A lot of people will defend some of these rusty men that don't need to be defended. We see a brother or dating outside of his race and get up on YouTube and Instagram. But Moni, let me say this to you. You, I, or anybody else don't have the ability to tell somebody who they should date. We don't. We only control who we're dating, who we're married, who we laid up in the bed with. That's the only thing we can control. And furthermore, I would venture to ask, why do we care so much? Why are we so invested in who's with who? I guess I'm weird. Maybe I don't understand the obsession with worrying about who's with who and who's doing who, and like, I can only really be concerned with what I'm doing, and that's a handful every day, to be honest with you, right? So I'm just wondering. And one who cares, you says the particular situation, those guys were not foundational black men. Okay, so they weren't found. Did they catch them, by the way? I never heard if they caught them. But needless to say, if they're from Haiti or you know what, I'm not saying that that's where they're from. When I hear foundation, not foundational, means they're not African American. Wherever they're from, they were black men assaulting a black woman because she told them no. So I guess I kind of get what you're saying, because in their cultures, women maybe don't feel like they can say no because they kind of are not in control of their own narrative in a lot of countries. I don't know if maybe that's where you're going with that. And Thunder says the guy that did that to the woman outside the store was not a foundational black American man. He was a foreigner and not one of us. I'm not responsible for that guy. So no, I'm not saying you're responsible, but I was just saying in general, being, black men. But when y'all say that, it kind of discounts the fact that there are foundational black Americans that do that to black women. I'm just putting it out there. Mona says, Demetra, some religions use modesty because they're jealous of a woman that's beautiful and curvy. They want to control her every move, like it's in Islam and Hebrew Israelites brainwashing, basically. So I hear what you're saying, and yes, some of it to us. Now we got to think of the position we are coming from in America. In America, because there was a time in America where women couldn't do that either. But we are in America as women, and we could run outside with 2 cotton balls and a Band-Aid on if we want to. And that's our right to do that, right? But so when I say we got to look at the position we're in, we're thinking about it from American eyes. And so what happens is, it was kind of happened with the Taliban. Those women, they should be allowed to do what they want, and then how dare them make them cover up. And then when America pulls on out of there, then those women are in danger because the Taliban is like, now put some clothes on. And so the other thing too is, I know some people are going to get mad, but in America, we don't have a problem with undressing the woman. We don't have a problem with, especially our women running around naked and all of that. But in other cultures, they don't come for that. They like, you don't put some clothes on around here. We want you to be respectable. Only your man should see what's up under that. Everybody don't need to see your WAP and all of that. That's in the house. The WAP should be in the house and under your clothes, right? Not all out in the open. So that's all I'm saying. And Sunlight, oh no. And Olivia says, I'm an avid reader as well. Yeah, that's where we get the knowledge, right? And Moni says, I believe in putting your foot to the backside. Physically, you're supposed to have discipline, like Dino Jennings, pastor. If you ever watch Demetra on YouTube, takes modesty out of contacts beyond. I have to check him out. I don't think I've ever heard of him before. And Sunlight says, yes, like Will and Jada, apparently they do what works for them and everyone else is bothered. Yeah, you might not want to share your man or your woman and, all of that. That may not be for you, but who are you to tell them they can't do that? They grown people. They don't need people to take care of them. Like, they grown. They could do what they want. And I think we need to get in the habit of minding our business when it's really not our business to mind, right? And One Who Cares says, "Don't get me wrong, but it was wrong. Also, the people who stood and watched it. No, I didn't think you guys were absolving them of that. I got what you were saying. So no, don't please don't mistake me in that. Deadshot, how you doing?" And Thunder says, "No, whenever someone that looks like is we all take the hit." Oh, I get it. So anybody who looks alike, y'all take the hit. They use it as a dumping ground. So I get it. So that's why you're making a line of demarcation, like whoa, whoa, whoa. That was those brothers over there, not us. So okay, I got you. And Moni says, "I think there's come out to saving your money and getting the hell up out of here. I don't never hear of these kind of incidents happening of the content of Africa or Caribbean islands. Do you?" Yeah, it happens all over the place. It happens everywhere. It's not just exclusive to here. It happens everywhere. And Olivia says, "The mixed relationships bother me when they start bashing the other race, which most of the time is us, and then later ends up trying to come back to a Black woman after being cheated on or betrayed." Yeah. I always say this: if you are one of those brothers or sisters that like to date outside of your race, to each his own. But don't justify it by saying, "I'm with a white woman because sisters got attitudes." Well, it's like, well, how that white woman supposed to feel? You ain't with her because you love her, or you care about her, or you like, her casserole with raisins. You only with her because the sisters can't act right, in your opinion. Like, to me, I think that's a faulty argument. That's why you with Susan, because Boom Quisha ain't acting right. Uh, and Morning says, "My grandmother always talks, if you were going to deal with a Black man, he should be very financially stable. If he wasn't making over $75,000, it's a waste of your time unless you would just be friends." Yeah, well, your grandma probably comes from the old school. One of my other favorite books is Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. And then in the beginning of the book, the grandmother tells her granddaughter, "Don't marry for love, marry for money." Because there was an older gentleman that liked her. He had money. And she's like, "But I don't love him." Grandma was like, "Shit, you better forget about love. He's stable." So she did go do that, but she didn't love him, right? And so I just think that's the school that they're coming from. But listen, I want the man to be financially stable and I want to love him. You know, I got to be into him. I can't. I don't know how some of those women do it. Like, I'm just with him because he got money. No, I need to be into you, right? It's got to be a combination. And Moni says, "How quick example, my grandmother felt that Caucasians is the greatest thing that walked planet Earth, I think you meant. So she always spoke on the ignorance within our community caused by many Blacks. I don't agree always." Well, again, your grandma's probably from the old school where there's a lot of women and men too back then that thought the lighter you were, the righter you were. They taught their kids, don't get with nobody darker than you. Or, then they got to pass the paper bag test. And ooh, if he white, he all right. And all of that other nonsense, right? And so your grandma's from the old school. I'm not making excuses, but unfortunately, that stuff is still passed down to us. And sometimes we walk in that ignorance. And One Who Cares says, "Becky will get you killed or locked up if she gets mad." Man, there's a lot of brothers who ain't believers, though. They not believers. They think, "Oh, all my problems is over. I got me a white woman." Okay. You keep on believing that. And Facts Not Feeling says, "I never see a 50-year-old Black man with a 20-year-old white woman unless it's inborn." And he says, "How come I'm seeing 50-year-old white men with 20-year-old Black women sugar baby coming out of the restaurant bar?" Yeah, I've seen that a lot, and I've seen that on the internet where Black women for whatever reason, are glorifying being with older white men. And we know it's a money thing, but I see it nevertheless. But there's a lot of brothers who glorify it too. But I have seen that trend, facts, not feelings. I've seen it. And Olivia, you say, what is that football player's name that married that white woman and now says that she used to call him the N-word when she gets upset? Now he's downing all white women. Yeah, I can't think. I saw that was like a couple years ago where he came out and said that, but it's like, well, you didn't have a problem with that when you was with her. Don't get mad now, And Moyne says, in closing, Demetra, when you want a decent apartment and you go and look at it because you want it clean, now you got managers refusing to rent to you, really? But as long as you want garbage, okay. Well, unfortunately, that is the case, but we need to get our own stuff so we can rent to each other, right? And Leonard, he says, if they can't use your comb, don't bring them home. I have heard that one before. My dad said his mom actually told him that. So yeah, I mean, I guess you could go by that, but I think more importantly, we just need to focus on building relationships with Black men and women. And it ain't even got to be the Black men and women you with, just Black men and women in general. We need to get past walking past each other in the store. We don't speak and, all of that. I ain't speaking to her. I ain't gonna speak, I'm telling you, wherever I go, hey, how you doing? And they be like, oh, hi, how you doing? Just speak. Like, we just need to make that a habit. You doing all right today? Oh, yeah, I'm doing great. Just really building a dialogue. Because sometimes we as humans, like, just think about yourself. When is the last time somebody said to you, hey, I see you. I care about you? When is the last time you had that happen? Now, if you've had it happen recently, you're very fortunate. But there's a lot of people who haven't heard that or no one's acknowledged them really. And so imagine you're in a Walmart or somewhere and you see another brother or sister, and maybe they don't look like they're having a great day. Say, hey, how you doing? That might make their day. It really might. Like yesterday, my daughter and my niece and I were in Walmart and we was looking cute because, we was out there, whatever. And, we walking around and this brother came up to my niece and says, y'all are very beautiful women. Are y'all sisters? Are we sisters? Of course we're sisters. I'm just kidding. But we weren't walking around screw-faced, fist all balled up and who you trying to look at and all of that. So, we got to start being kinder to each other, I would think, right? And one who cares, she says, yes, exactly. And Sunlight says, Black women finally being a sugar baby. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Black women didn't invent the game. Yeah, there's a lot of old white dudes out there that want them a sister. They're like, I'm trying to have this be the last thing I do on earth. I want me some chocolate. I mean, they just out there like that. And they have no problem spending the coins. Now, that wouldn't be for me. But there's some people out there who like, yeah, sure, why not? Olivia says, trust and believe that third leg, quote unquote, doesn't work forever. And when it actually stops working, Becky is still going to get hers elsewhere and still getting your money. Yes, it's very probable. And Marnie says, to make Demetra, everything you speaking on hitting right home. My mother was so abusive to me that I decided to cut off from her because I love me more and I feel better. I was traumatized severely. Yeah, you know what though? Moni, sometimes you got to cut off from people who are near and dear to you, including your mama. If your mama is toxic and has exacted horrible things upon you, you got to do what's best for you. If it means you cutting yourself away from your mom to become the best version of yourself, then that is your right to do that. In this book that I'm reading, The Four Agreements, the last part, it talks about the angel of death, right? So when we hear about the angel of death, we think about the devil. And he says, the angel of death is in control of everything you do, where you work, what you eat, how much money you make. And so the point that he was making is stop focusing on negative stuff because it can all be taken away from us, right? A lot of times we focus on negative or, trying to, oh, I want to please my mom. My mom doesn't like me. Oh, I'm trying to do everything I can. So what you're doing is you're giving energy to negative things and you're robbing yourself of life. So it is our job personally to make sure that we're living a positive life and a good life because he also made the example that if you were told today that you have a week left to live, are you going to spend it? Oh, I'm going to die. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Are you going to try to have some fun? Call everybody you can and say, hey, I love you. I don't have that long to be here, but I want you to know I love and I care about you. I'm going to go eat my favorite things. I'm going to, so that's how we're supposed to be living life now, not when you get bad news. We are supposed to be robbing the angel of death of the opportunity to snatch things from us because we spent too much time worrying about negative things. And so, Moni, I say that to you to say kudos to you for realizing your worth and moving yourself out of a negative situation. And maybe one day your mom, I don't know if she's still here with us, but she will come around and she will do the work on herself so she can be a better human. And Thunder says, I want to protect you from that violent person trying to harm you. But the law says that it says anyone can defend a third person will not work for me when I get in front of the judge. So curl up and hope for the best. Well, I mean, there's a lot of levels to things, but I don't know. I think we all need to do what's best for us and then sort out the details later if it comes to that. And Facts Not Feeling says, when 20-year-old brothers see young Black women sugar dating, it's hard to see her as a future wife. This trend is but it destroys the Black family. No, I agree with you on that. I mean, I can't see too many brothers wanting a woman who, because usually if a woman is doing that, her attitude is bad. Her reasonings for doing that is bad. It's really predicated on material things. Oh, he could do this for me. He could do that for me. But it's like, you're no better than a mattress. You're no better than an expensive mattress that somebody is doing what they want to do on you for money. Like, where is your self-worth? There's no amount of money in the world that would make me put myself through that with no man. I don't care who he is. So I agree with you. And Moni says, to jump on a young lady because she don't want you to buy a drink, bit her in the face, damage her eye. You get tired of that. I put my energy on God because ain't none of these men worth it. Look at Cheaters, the Cheater Show. Yeah, Cheater Show is actually one of my favorite shows because it's funny to me. I think it's really scripted, especially at this point. But I mean, yeah, you can put your energy into God, but I want to put my energy into a man. Just keeping it real. So that's why I said, we need to do the work. We need to do the work on ourselves to become a better version of ourselves. And we should always be working on ourselves, right? Because whoever you end up with, God will want you to do the work on yourself so that you don't cause that person unnecessary drama and trauma, right? Do the work, heal, so you can be in a good relationship. For me, that's the goal, right? And Sunlight says, if the Black woman is a sugar baby, maybe you shouldn't be looking at her as a future wife unless you have more sugar. Yeah, that's why I said, I mean, her attitude is bad already. And so, yeah, she's probably not going to make a good wife until she does the work on herself, get her understanding rearranged, right? Because that's cute for a while, but men with those type of means and that kind of money, I'm sure after a while they're going to replace you. You're going to get older. Most men who date women like that, they ain't dating you for your conversation. You 20. What can you really say? You ain't been nowhere in life. Most you can do is and jiggle up and down and okay, daddy. And not to minimize that of a 20-year-old. There's some smart 20-year-olds out there, but he don't want you for none of that. He wants you for some arm candy and for you to do the freaky diggy that his wife, because most of the time they got a wife, that his wife ain't doing. His wife is giving him that mommy sex, and he wants you to do the stuff, he see Megan Thee Stallion and them talking about on them videos. So yeah, you know, good point. And Leonard, he says, nah, she's damaged goods after I see that. Yeah. But that's another thing. People don't think about that. I used to sell life insurance a long time ago, and people would get denied over things they didn't think they could get denied over. Like years ago, they might have had a DUI. And a lot of times it says, have you had a DUI in the last 10 years? And you might have to say, yeah, it was like 9.5 years ago. And sometimes you might get declined or rated, which means you're going to pay a higher premium for your life insurance. But it's like, when you're drinking and driving when you're young, and then you get older and you mature, you want to do some things and get some life insurance. You didn't think about that when you were younger, but it comes back to haunt you. And so I say that to say, women who are doing that, stepping out with these sugar daddies and all of that, when you get done being a sugar baby, because how long are you really going to be a sugar baby? You're going to get older. You're going to want to settle down to a respectable choice, but that respectable choice might know about the choices you've been making and be like, nah, I'm good. And Mona says, I remember between me and my cousin, we would go and be out somewhere in general in broad daylight. Black men would ride up to either one of us and calling dog, kind of female dogs, almost attacked because of it. Well, yeah, that's horrible. And I would like to say that's an isolated incident, but it's not, unfortunately, you know. But again, we need to get better at teaching our children coping skills. And so that way, when they grow up to be grown-ups, they don't act in that. They learn how to say, she's cute. She doesn't like me. Next. Just that simple. And sound like he says, Demetra, your sidekick should be here for this subject. Laugh out loud. I'm sure he has another perspective on this. Oh, yes. Donovan may be watching and driving. I think he's driving back from Arizona. Y'all know Donovan too well, don't you? And Thunder says, I'm the opposite. AARP for me, gray all the all the way. I think if those knees don't crack, get back. You need to stop it. Thunder likes the older, more seasoned woman. Thunder, am I too young for you? Because they sent me some AARP stuff not too long ago. Would I be considered too young? Because I don't be doing the Jerry Curl juice and the Virginia Slims and the Ben Gay and the compression socks. I just want to know. In fact, Not Feeling says most men don't know she was a sugar baby when she's in her 30s and 40s looking to settle down, right? But if she hasn't, changed her ideology, she's just going to be your older woman with that same way of thinking, right? And you need to do this and you need to do that and I need to all of that. She ain't interested in building. She's interested in having things done for her. And Thunder says, yeah, I know what you meant, gray all the way. And Kevin, how you doing? He says, if I see anyone assaulting a Black queen or princess, I'm going to take him down. Period. That's what I'm talking about. And Olivia says, yes, I actually miss Donovan tonight. Oh, I hope he's watching and he knows that he is missed. And Sunlight says, if you didn't see her being a sugar baby, what does it matter? Yeah, you don't see it. But like I said, if she don't change the way she thinks, it's going to manifest. It's definitely going to manifest in one way or another. But you know what, you guys? I don't see any more comments. I got through them really fast because it's just me and it's easier to read them when it's just me. But I'm going to start getting out of here. If I see y'all comments, I will read them. So I appreciate you all for being here with me, just me today. Donovan will be back on Tuesday. We have moved the Thursday show to Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central Time to have a show kind of sort of in the middle of the week. But everything else will stay the same. Friday show will stay the same. Sunday show will stay the same. Something else. So I'll be here on Tuesday. I don't know if I'll be here Thursday because I'm going to be taking a road trip somewhere. I'm going to try to be here on Sunday if I get back in time, but I'll give you guys a heads up either way. But definitely I will see you all on Tuesday. So I'd like to say, let's see here. And Sunlight says, oh no, I saw that. And Anna, she says, thank you. No, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you, YouTube and Facebook, for being the other side of the conversation. I appreciate and love you all dearly for that. And Thunder says, you're still a little young, but you're still gorgeous. I appreciate that. Thank you. um, but I appreciate you all for being there, helping me have this conversation. And Donovan, if he was here, I'd like to say thank you. And to Marcus Guyton for everything he does behind the scenes. You all have a great rest of your Sunday. Do something fun. This time change is already dark outside, and I'm feeling tired. But do something fun today before you get back, to the work week and all of that. But I will see y'all. And of course, we have a PayPal, Venmo, a Cash App if you guys want to donate to the show or become a channel member or join a super chat and all that. Much is appreciated. Anyway, I will see you guys on Tuesday at 5 o'clock Central Time. Peace.